Greetings, leaders. Welcome to Leadership Is Podcast. I am your host, Jason Muhammad, founder of JM Leadership Development. I'm here to talk to you about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will even distribute your podcast for you on platforms like Spotify, Apple, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So listen, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And always remember, leadership is influence and service.
There is nothing more frustrating than being associated with a program or a job, and you're always looking for the person that's in charge. So it's so important to show up and be present, be accessible, and approachable.
Greetings, leaders. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Leadership Is Podcast, episode 50, with my special guest, CPLC Leslie Council Lake, who is also the founder of My Sistah Taught Me That. Today, we will be talking about leadership from My Sistah Taught Me That. One of the most unrecognized and uncelebrated group of people is our youth, and among those youth are our young Black women. Our guest today will dispel some of the myths as it relates to unlocking that leadership code and young Black women in leadership. Let's talk about it. Greetings, leaders. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Leadership Is Podcast. I am your host, Jason Muhammad, founder of JM Leadership Development. Today's episode 50, is featuring Leslie Council Lake, or CPLC Leslie Council Lake. She became a certified professional life coach through the Tony Gaskins Life Coach Academy in February of 2020. She's proud of this certification and is passionate about helping to enhance and shape amazing life outcomes and reach the prospective goals. She's also a mentor, a singer, certified life coach, public speaker, community advocate, youth advocate, and educator, and just straight up girl boss. And she comes as the founder of My Sistah Taught Me That. Welcome, Miss Leslie Council Lake.
Thank you. Wow, that sounds like a lot.
Absolutely. Well, for those who do a lot, they're going to have a large resume. So and I didn't even go over everything. So but thank you very much for honoring us with your time and talent. And besides what I just read and gave to our audience, is there anything that you would like for our audience to know about you? Like, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So I actually am super passionate about my nonprofit. My sister taught me that, like as you mentioned, I am that certified life coach. My day job, however, is I'm an equity consultant and the manager of sales and marketing for the Department of Continuing Professional Development at Mountain Area Health Education Center, for short. That's MAHEC. I've spent over 18 years in the healthcare system, and now I have the privilege of helping to create and promote events for providers to receive their continuing medical education credits, which allows them to continue being a provider in the healthcare system. And a lot of what my focus is in my role is making sure that we're providing equitable, diverse, and inclusive type of conferences for these physicians and other allied health professionals. So yeah, that's the day job. And then everything else as far as singing and mentoring and life coaching is separate. I'm also a very happy wife, mom, and sister to as many young ladies and parents and families as need my support. So I love what I do. Super passionate about it.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, definitely. I have seen and felt your energy myself, so I can bear witness to everything that you're saying there. So thank you for your time and your service. What is the intent? Tell us about, the intent of My Sistah Taught Me That. What is that?
So it started actually with my oldest daughter, who's 16. She was pretty much an only child until little Layla, our 5-year old, came along, and we would be in church, and a lot of the young girls from church would want to like hang out with us afterwards. We would go out to eat. Sometimes we would go on a hike, and that grew. That small group of just Kayla and her friends just kind of grew. And then I also recognized that there was a need for mentoring of young girls, and I intentionally did not call it. My mama taught me that because I don't want to try to replace or offend any of the hardworking mothers who have been working so diligently and hard to ensure that their young girls are supported. I grew up in a single parent home with my mom, and I didn't want to offend her either.
Yeah.
And my mom also had the same type of passion for young girls and kids, community, the community, youth in general. So I think I got that from her. But so it all started with Kayla and her friends, and then I recognized the need for additional support, and that need turned into a full blown nonprofit. And so we have served over 200 young ladies over the past 5 years now, and
Wow.
we're still accepting more, and I mean, absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So that's awesome. Therefore, my sister taught me that, and sisters, young women in leadership. Teaching them leadership. I did a closing the leadership gap back in November,
Hmm.
and it talked about closing the leadership gap between men and women. And so have you, and I just gotta kind of give you this, there are times when I go off script, you
It's
know
okay.
when, when people answer questions, and I like to for them to dive deeper into it. What has been your experience as a self-proclaimed but definitely acknowledged girl boss?
Hmm.
What has been your experience as it relates to leadership and between men and women yourself, and how do you take that experience to your young ladies?
So personally, I have not only been what's considered as a minority. However, there is nothing minor about me. Everything about me says that I am major, but I'm going to use that term because that's what most people are familiar with. I have been a minority not only in race, but also in gender, in my entire professional career. So I have definitely sat back, taken notes, and also inserted myself in ways that have led to my success now. And had I not done that, I would still be, you know, um, doing the same job I was doing when I first entered the healthcare system. So from a leadership standpoint, I definitely value and appreciate women who step up and take charge of their opinions in certain situations,
Yeah.
take authority in making sure that people recognize that we are sitting at the table and we do add value. And then I mean, the current climate of the world is finally coming to recognize that that not only do women have a voice, but we are leaders. And so many young people are looking up to us to be those leaders for them and set examples for them, and they need that. If you don't, people will become what they see and what they're comfortable with. So when it comes to the program, one of the things I'm most passionate about is exposing them to opportunities to where they can see what they can become. So that it's not just me telling them, you can do this or you can do that. And same thing with parents. There are some instances where parents like, you can reach for the stars, you can do this, and we have this mindset of reaching for the stars means that I have to be a singer or a rapper or Beyonce. No, you can be Kamala Harris one day. Let's get there. And here are some steps that you can take in order to make that happen.
Wow. Yeah, that's bomb. That's the bomb. Yes, ma'am. So what is your definition of leadership?
Mm, that's a good question. My definition of leadership is someone who leads by example, doesn't mind to get their hands dirty with the people that they are leading. Someone who is leading not necessarily in front, but alongside of, with wisdom and experience and knowledge. I managed several physician practices before I moved into this role, And one of the things that I prided about the way my management style was that I was approachable. So people felt like they could relate and not feel like they were always constantly being judged. Now, if I needed to get with you about something that needed to be corrected, I could also do that in a way that didn't make someone feel like they were going to the principal's office. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
mm.
It's all about working alongside people because and the greatest definition for me is a leader is someone who leads alongside people and builds other leaders. So I'm not the type of leader that wants to always just be at the top of the food chain. I want everybody to come up there with me and even surpass me, because that's the mark of a true leader, is someone who builds future leaders.
There you go. That's absolutely correct, and I couldn't have said it better myself. Absolutely, that's it. How does your program then? Are there? And you don't have to get into details, but as just in general, I guess. How does your program? My sister taught me that develop next generation leaders.
Yeah, so we have something that actually started from the boys program, called ambassadors. And these ambassadors are are young ladies who either graduated from high school, or they may be in their junior or senior year of high school, who've been in the program for a long time. They understand the expectations. They help to recruit, they help to retain, and they help to mentor, from a younger perspective, the young ladies who join the program or the ones who are already in there. So our expectations of them are a little bit stronger than, all of the rest of the participants. Not that the rest of the participants don't add value, but um, as an ambassador, you've been here long enough to understand what those expectations are, and you're carrying those expectations out, as a leader. And then the younger girls look up to them. So hopefully the cycle will be that the younger folks will then turn into those same ambassadors, and then those ambassadors can go off to college, come back if they want to, but wherever they are, they can start their own chapter of My Sister Taught Me That, and then
Mm,
keep the cycle going.
mm. Yeah, that's good. Yes, ma'am. Yes, each one teach one.
That's right.
Yep. Again, feeding into what you said about leaders. Building leaders.
Hmm.
So, for our audience, can you give us three leadership tips?
Yes. So number one, um, you have to be very intentional with your leadership style. Not everybody is going to not everybody needs to be led the same way. So be intentional and
Mm,
unique in how you approach the different people that you're leading, because ultimately people are looking up to you to give them guidance and direction. And you have to meet people where they are, even though you may have certain expectations. And everybody has ultimately the same expectation to get a job done and get it done well, um, and show up.
yeah.
So, as long as you have people showing up to do a job, your expectation should be, or their expectation of you should be, that you're working intentionally to meet them where they are. So that's number one. Number two is to show up and be present. It's so important for me, especially when I was, well, in every position I'm in, it's important for me to have the consistency so that people know they can actually rely on me. There's nothing worse than working a job or being involved in a program when you're always looking for the person in charge. So,
Wow. Hold on.
mhm.
Say that again, please.
There is nothing more frustrating than being associated with a program or a job, and you're always looking for the person that's in charge.
Come
So
on.
it's so important to show up and be present, be accessible, and approachable, with everything that you're doing, so that people don't feel like they can't reach you.
Yeah.
That's number two. And then finally, what I said before, I think it's just remembering that you are not the end all be all, and you want to build a program, or you want your leadership style to definitely supersede who you are, but you're not always going to be here. So make sure you're leaving a legacy for the people to be successful moving forward. I don't want it to be that when, if something happened to me, I don't want My Sister Taught Me That to just die off. I would hope and expect and pray that whatever I have done in this short time on earth I've at least done enough to make sure that somebody else can run the show,
Yeah.
whether I'm here or not.
Yeah, that's excellent. There's something that I learned from DDI. It's called Development Dimensions International, and they talk about the bench. And you have your leaders, but then you also have those that are on the bench, and it's part of the procession program, right? That if
Hmm.
those that are in front there happen to retire, die or leave, the company, you got people that's on the bench that can
Right.
step up and take those positions. And so
Exactly.
if your company is not building a strong bench, then what really, as you said, to number three of your tips, what kind of legacy are you really leaving
Hmm.
as a leader? So yeah, excellent point. Do you have any closing comments, contact information, and how people can help with My Sister Taught Me That?
Yes. So I am on pretty much every social media outlet. I'm on Instagram, at Leslie C. Lake, Lake. And first name is spelled Leslie. I'm on Facebook. Unfortunately, I've reached a friend. Facebook has a friend maximum, so I've reached that maximum. But I do have a page that you can follow personally, and that's Leslie Council Lake. And then there's also on both Instagram and Facebook. My sister taught me that, so it's at my sister taught me that with the S. It's Sistah. Sister, we are soul sisters.
Yeah.
Um, and then my email is Leslie at my sister taught me that.org. Website is the same, my sister taught me that.org. And yeah, I think that, oh, I'm also on Twitter. I'm on Snapchat for the kids. We have a little Snapchat group. um yeah, so I'm pretty easy to find on social media.
Very good. And how can people help?
Um, so we on our website we have a donation page where you can go on, and there are there's a list of different ways that you might want to donate. We literally serve food at every single program that we have. So we meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8, either at the mall or somewhere else. I try my best to keep the website up to date so people can know where we're meeting and what we're talking about. But for instance, today we're actually meeting at Blaze Pizza. And um, but on the donation page, you can donate towards food, supplies. You can definitely reach out if you would like to be a speaker. If you have something that you would like to speak about or share with the young ladies, we love art projects. We love to travel. We like doing outdoor activities, and we at least try to do one type of exercise or something like physical activity each month. So if you're a health instructor of any type, please reach out. We would love to have you come and lead us through something, or we'll come to you. So yeah, that's the best way to you can donate straight through our website.
Very good, very good. Well, just want to let you know that you always have an open invitation to Leadership Is podcast, and you have shared a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge, wisdom for our audience. And look, thank you so much for all that you do. And one of these days, we're gonna have to do something together, man. Closing
For
the
sure.
leadership gap or something. I got my life coach certification back in 2012, and so I definitely know the benefits of being a life coach as it relates to, children and that mentoring and all that. So definitely, let's continue that further that discussion.
Yes, and I also would love to have you come speak to the girls at some point as well. We need to
Look,
make that happen.
just okay. Well, let's talk about it because we'll definitely make that happen.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here with us.
All right.
Are you promoting the right people into leadership positions? How do you know? How do you measure the outcomes, and are they the outcomes you're looking for? Please visit www.jmleadershipdevelopment.com. Again, www.jmleadershipdevelopment.com, and request a half-hour conversation to assess if we can address your leadership development needs. Oh, and by the way, always remember that leadership is influence and service.
Hey, thank you for enjoying another episode of Leadership Is Podcast, episode 50, with my special guest, CPLC Leslie Council Lake, founder of My Sister Taught Me That. She gave us 3 excellent leadership tips. Number 1 is being intentional about your leadership, right? That's being intentional, meaning that, okay, there's no accidents about what it is that you're striving to do. There's strategies behind what it is that you're striving to do, keeping, as Stephen Covey has said, the end in mind, right? When you begin, keep the end in mind. So being intentional about your leadership. Number 2, show up and be present. She gave an excellent example of that when she was talking about one of the worst things to do is to be a part of an organization where you have to look for the leader. And we all know how that has, how that feels, what that looks like is that you cannot find the leader in situations that the leader is needed, right? So that's not a good situation to be in. So show up and be present. And number 3, she says, leave a legacy. What legacy are you leaving? And that has become a common theme answer to some of our interviewed guests that we've had on this podcast is leaving a legacy. What legacy are you going to leave? So thank you very much, CPLC Leslie Council Lake. Here at JM Leadership Development, our primary goal is to develop next generation leaders, to leave the bench, embrace the growth mindset towards leadership, and step up. If you would like for us to do a virtual assessment trainings or presentations for your hidden leaders or keynote your next event, contact us for a free half-hour conversation at info@jmleadershipdevelopment.com. Visit our website, www.jmleadershipdevelopment.com, or call us 828-333-7234, and we will respond promptly. Please subscribe to this podcast using Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts at Jason A. Muhammad /Leadership Is. Please follow us on social media. Twitter is @LeadershipJM. Facebook and Instagram is JM Leadership Development. And always remember, leadership is influence and service.